Welcome back to the Elevation Trail at Lake Ridge Heights. I'm your host, Andy
I'm
Rain.
905, and that's Randy.
That's it. That's all I get.
Tonight marks the start of round 2 of Vandamonium.
42 teams took to the trail in round 1, and only the top 18 made it to round 2.
The opening round was brutal to say the least, and it will only get harder the closer we get to the finals.
These teams know how to get
do
the
I get
job
to say
done, though,
anything?
and that march starts
I'd
tonight.
like to say something.
We got a pitter-patter, so let's see who's up first in the first group tonight. Leading the way in Group 1 is Papa Bear. He's in 6th spot with 22 points. He'll be taking on the number 9 seed in Variat, who's got 19 points. And they're both going to have to watch out for Sam Hall in the Ram Jam as he comes in the 18th spot, which he won in the Northern Race-Off.
Can you feel it? Can you feel the magic in the air tonight? Let's go up to the top of the hill for race 1.
This is a brilliant opening race from Variat. As the gate drops, him and Papa Bear have a great race to the jump, and Variat strategically just squeaks him out. And that forces Papa Bear to go right, while Variat can go straight. Sam Hall then makes a beeline for Variat, but gets it wrong and actually bounces off the guardrail just in front of him. Variat must have had them spidey senses tingling, because he taps the brakes just enough to avoid the incoming boom that is the Ram Jam. And with his competition out of the way, Variat parks it across the line for a big 11 points in the first race. It certainly doesn't look like Variat's messing around. He wants to put this thing to bed early, and he's got 11 points from race 1 in order to help him do it. However, we still have 2 more races to go, and keeping up this momentum has been notoriously difficult in this tournament.
Whew, buckle up, this is going to be a good one. Variat with the opening round salvo, but Papa Bear and Sam Hall aren't that far behind.
Oh, we haven't seen this yet in this tournament. Variat with 2 for 2 so far. He comes down and actually gets back into it with Papa Bear, and Papa Bear gets into it with Sam Hall, and unfortunately that slows them down and puts them into the gap in the course, and that allows Variat to pull a handbrake turn just before, I don't know if he's showing off or what, but he's actually able to throw it in reverse and back his rig across the line. That's another 11 points for Variat. He's taken 22 from 2 races. This is the first time this tournament that somebody's gone 2 for 2. Is there another one? Indy did mention about feeling the magic.
Variat with a second impressive run and another 11 points. And yes, I did feel the magic in the air tonight. What does race 3 have in store?
There it is! The first perfect run of this tournament. And what a run it was. It was so clean and smooth, it could not have gone any better for Variat. While Sam Hall and Papa Bear get into it at the jump, Variat walks away from them and puts another 11 points in his pocket and dominates this group and vaults himself to the top of the leaderboard. That is the momentum that you need in order to go deep in this tournament.
I knew it when I came to work tonight that there was something special, and Variat did not disappoint. Variat's run was awesome.
Kids, back up a little bit more. Oh, sorry.
With an impressive run like that, Variat becomes the first driver to put a full pull up on the board and vault himself to the number 1 spot on the leaderboard.
I couldn't have said it any better myself there, 905. As N-Count and Mark D watch on with their 27s, Variat, who sat in 9th place with 19 points, dominates that first group to put up 52 to see himself in the number 1 spot. Group 2 now has a benchmark, and they are ready to go.
First up is the number 5 seed with 23 points and Bumpin' Billy from Billy's Midway Racing. They'll be taking on the number 16 seed with 17 points and Wiz from the Wizard of Oz. and they'll be taking on Lando, the dog from Team Arlo, who won his right to race in round 2. Time to lay it all out on the line, boys, as points matter more than anything else. Let's go to the top for race 1. The gate drops and Billy looks like he's got a great line coming out of that first lane. Wiz decides to get into it with Lando and push him over to the side, and Billy decides to join the fray and give Wiz a little tap in the rear quarter. Wiz gets up on 2 wheels and Lando decides to rub that rail up on the inside. That rail ride sets him up for a big boom at the jump as he noses in and gets airborne right under Billy. Billy, who's got no right to be there, gets slammed by Lando as he comes down and just whaps him right on the head. I've seen some crazy over-under finishes in my day, and Billy decides to throw his hat into the ring for that one. It's a highlight we'll have to watch for sure. Wiz, on the other hand, just gets a wheel across the line as he does a barrel roll as he rams the 9 sign. The 11 points, however, are going to set him up nicely for the second race.
Desperate times call for desperate measures, and you can see the desperation in the Wiz trying to get the points. He gets himself across the line while Lando and Bumpin' Billy got to settle for 5.
That was a great second effort there, Wiz, but my flying monkey's got to get you back on your wheels.
And there's no second effort here as all 3 drivers stall out at the 5 line after the gate drops. Everybody kind of comes together to pinch off Bumpin' Billy, but it's unfortunate as none of them can handle the jump, and both Lando and Wiz go for tumbles in the snow. Lando may have been able to make the jump, but he gets tagged in the side by Wiz while Bumpin' Billy makes a beeline for the X and can't handle the landing. This isn't the lap 2 that these guys were hoping for, especially Bumpin' Billy after having such a good first round. They got one more lap to step it up because they need the points, and if they want to make the second round, they need to grab them now.
With a disappointing second lap, everybody puts up 5 on the board. We know these drivers and fans are capable of making the line. They just got to prove it to themselves that they've got what it takes.
And it looks like Lando's the only one who's taking the advice. He immediately goes after Bumpin' Billy and ends his race before the jump, and then gets together with Wiz and they joust all the way to the gap in the course. Lando wins that drag race, and you can see Wiz trying everything he can but gets 2 wheels up on the side and assists Lando in keeping him straight. Lando's gonna have to give Wiz some buried bones or something because that little tap to keep him straight gets him across the line for 11 points. Wiz stalls out on the 7 line, and Bumpin' Billy, unfortunately, I think his racing is done.
Bumpin' Billy's gonna add 15 points to his score, while Wiz and Lando take home 23 and 21 respectively. We're gonna have to see how all those scores stack up against everybody else. With 3 drivers only putting up scores so far, we don't know how many points everybody's gonna need to make round 3. Although, it's pretty safe to say that Variet's safe. We'll add these next 3 scores, and look at that. Wiz sits in the number 2 spot behind Variat, and Bumpin' Billy and Lando sit 4 and 5 respectively, bumping Sam Hall down to 6th.
We got one more group tonight, so let's check them out. Dr. Dodge and the Sisters of Heavy Metal come in at 14th overall. He's going up against Sloppy Bear, who sits right behind him at 15th overall. And they're both going to have to take on Brocan from Mainly Diecast Racing, who sits in the 4th spot overall. This is going to be a good group because these guys now know what is at stake. Let's go up to the top of the trail for race 1 of Group 3. Well, that wasn't the prettiest of laps for first race, but Brocan will take that any day of the week. He gets out to the right and watches Sloppy Bear and Dr. Dodge grind to a halt up in the top half of the course. And after a couple of pinballs down the rest of the way, he'll find himself across the line and take home 11 points for race 1. The other 2 drivers, on the other hand, I don't know what's going on with them.
Yeesh, that wasn't good for Dr. Dodge or Sloppy Bear. Brocan, on the other hand, well, he's got 11 points to go into race 2.
And Sloppy and Dr. Dodge must have some words up at the gate, because Sloppy comes down and immediately goes after Dr. Dodge. You can see him turn right in. That spins out Dr. Dodge, and I don't know what happened to Brocan. He had a brilliant run going and just pegs it into the boards, and that's it. Sloppy, on the other hand, finds a way to get another gear in and comes across the line to collect himself 11 points. Those points are desperately needed and well collected, as each driver not only has to worry about their heat, but also all the other drivers who are racing in the second round.
Sloppy Bear gets the job done in race 2. Brocan falls a little behind, but he's still out in front with 16. Dr. Dodge needs to step it up if he wants to make a push for round 3.
And that was clutch from Dr. Dodge in that lane 1. Brocan goes after Sloppy and puts him into the boards, and you can see Dr. Dodge desperately trying to do whatever he can to get his rig down into the second half of the course. He gets a bounce going on, but times it a little wrong and pegs himself, but that wide fender in the front, or arrow or whatever it is, that plow, he's able to skirt himself down across the line. Sloppy's second effort only gets him 5, while Brocan has to settle for 3.
The scores put up by Sloppy Bear and Brocan would have gotten them into the second round, but is it enough to see them move on to round 3? We'll have to add their scores to the big board to see.
Okay, Sloppy, we're just gonna... okay, we're professionals here at the trail for sure, let me assure you that.
Sloppy Bear and Dr. Dodge came into round 2 on 17 points apiece, while Brocan had 25 and one of the highest scores out of round 1. We're going to add their second round scores together, and Brocan takes over the number 2 spot as his 44 sees him just in front of Wiz, while Sloppy Bear and Dr. Dodge end up on 35 and 33 respectively. What a wild second round so far.
Tell me about it. I can't wait to see what the next 3 groups have in store for next week.
I've got some
If it's
thoughts.
anything like tonight, the battle for the top 9 is going to be the closest we've ever seen.
Guys,
That's it for tonight from the Elevation Trail at Lake Ridge Heights.
come on.
Tune in next time as we wrap up round 2 and find out who makes the semifinals.
Well, that's just not
I've
fair.
been your host, 905.
And I'm Indy Rain. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next
Come
time.
on, guys. What the heck?
Whoa, Randy. Language.
What is this now? I didn't order this. This must have been Ajax. Ajax must have done this. I'm gonna have to get that guy back somehow. No more Mr. Nice Guy.